In other news... Oh, wow, I start off here, do I? Okay. A dad took an 11-month-year-old to a drug dealer as a human shield. The baby was shot multiple times.
Oh, what? Why?
Right off the bat.
What?
I must have thought about that. I'm putting that at the top.
Why?
Well, it's kind of logical. I mean, basically, he thought that if he brought a baby to a drug
won't shoot
deal,
the baby.
They won't shoot him because he's got a baby in the car. Turns out drug dealers don't really mind.
No, I couldn't imagine they give two fucks. Like, is it like the cartel? They slaughter like children and women and like everything every day.
No, I think it's just a small one. But right, he's not really a hero.
Little cartel. Don't do a small cartel.
Right, he's not a heroic figure so far, right?
No,
I'd
not
say,
at all.
No, if he's taking a baby as a human shield, I'd probably say he's not really a hero. But it gets worse. It turns out the reason he took the baby with him was because he thought that the gang would be very angry with him. And the reason he thought that was because he kept on buying drugs from them with counterfeit money. So he was going in with, I don't know, Woolworths vouchers or something. Give me some drugs.
Yeah.
And they didn't like that. They don't like counterfeit money. They like real money, these gangs.
Yeah.
And he was going in there again to buy more drugs with more counterfeit money.
Why? If you get away with it once. So was he dealing? Was he on the chain of commerce, or was it like?
It sounds like
he was going
an addict
for like personal use.
Yeah, it sounds like he had a bit of a warped judgment. So I'm assuming he was ingesting a lot of these drugs.
Yeah. Well, if you're a drug addict, you probably shouldn't have a baby anyway.
Might as well get rid of it from a drug deal.
Jesus Christ.
The baby sustained gunshot wounds to the head, torso, and rear of his body. Police previously said that if the baby did survive, then he wouldn't have a chance at a full recovery. So he'd been like, the baby was just doomed, is basically what they're saying. After the shooting, Monroe, this is the heroic father, did not rush his son to the hospital, but instead drove him to a house. According to Vokey, I guess is somebody, when he did take the 11-month-year-old to hospital, he never looked back and kind of walked into the wind. So, like, this is the similar thing of, like, the reality of the situation must have hit him. The same with that, I can't remember what the guy's profession was, but he went to hospital with his kids in the car, went out to work. He was a nurse or a doctor or something. Yeah. And then he came back and didn't realise that his babies were in there and they died. Yeah. And just the grief.
Yeah, because he was meant to take them to nursery on the way to work or something like that.
He thought he dropped them off.
He thought he dropped them off.
He didn't.
And it was a hot day.
So this is like that, but with a shooting. So, like, the grief of it, the reality of everything must eventually sink in. And then he gives it to a hospital and then just kind of just walks away and then just, like, probably kills himself. He never looked back and went into the wind, so to speak. Monroe, who also uses the alias Nafis and Knifes, was wanted on probation warrant and was using counterfeit money to purchase drugs. Now, he did, to be fair to this father, he did go on to say, on account of the counterfeit money is something that is very upsetting to drug dealers. This is him. This is his statement. Hands up. I am aware that lots of drug dealers, they don't like counterfeit money. And when they find out that they're being burned with counterfeit money, they act violently.
This is surreal. So he's talking about it as though he took his kid to like a den of hungry wolves. It's like, well,
I know they're going to be violent.
And, when wolves are hungry, and we can't blame the wolves. Like, nature is nature. Yeah. Can't blame the drug dealers.
But just that whole thing of like, what will make this life or death situation easier is if I rope my baby into it.
That's insane. So, like, did he... why would you take your kid, I guess?
Well,
but, like...
there is some logic in it.
Did he say that it was because he thought...
Yeah, he said intentionally had a child with him. So this is the quote. It's our belief and our investigation has led us to believe that the father intentionally had his child with him when he was making such types of purchases with the idea or belief that if someone saw that he had a child in a car, they wouldn't fire upon him. Which, again, there's some logic there. It's twisted crack logic.
Yeah.
But there's some logic there, so it's probably how it happened. I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's probably how it went down. But just... No, don't do that.
Christ
Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
And kids, don't do parents who do drugs.
No.
Or whatever.
Yeah. You haven't got a choice, but...
In other similar news, wild boar in Tuscany have sniffed out and destroyed a stash of cocaine in a forest, leaving drug dealers £17,000 out of pocket.
And boars wired out of their fucking mind. Like, boars are already pretty unpredictable, quite aggressive, but like
Now
boars
they're on coke.
like completely coked up.
Now they're making films.
And not even that. Like, there's now like weeks where you've got boar coke addicts trying to find a fix.
roaming the forest.
Yeah.
Just looking for bags of powder. It's partly devoured by feral hogs, this big stash of coke was. So they knew when to stop, is what it seems to be saying.
No, that's enough. That's...
I feel like I'm in a good place.
Yeah.
I don't want to mong out too much or get up too high. The drug dealers were heard complaining about their discovery by police who were listening in on a telephone conversation. So these drugs...
the pigs have had all the coke, mate.
Sebastian, we're low on the delivery this week. Why? Boars? I think Boars. Did you take it again? No, it was Boars. Trust me, it was Boars.
It was Boars.
Police just listen. Fair enough. Vigilante Boars. The gang, who were made up of 1 Italian and 3 Albanians, that's a pretty small gang, had buried the Class A drug in jars and were allegedly trafficking around 2 kilos of cocaine every month to Siena and Arezzo. I just like the one wiretaps are still happening, which makes so much sense, but the term wiretapping doesn't sound modernised.
Yeah.
Because what wiretapping is just listening into people's conversations. And if you're doing it on a mobile phone, you can't really tap. Before it was like a physical, you put a thing into it.
Yeah.
Now it feels like you could just find out their Google password.
There's no wires.
And figure it out.
Yeah.
The drug dealers are not the only people concerned with the influx of wild boar in Italy. Farmers are protesting in Rome earlier this month over the animals wreaking havoc on their land and causing fatal car accidents.
Well, yeah, if they're coked out of their mind.
Driving cars, stealing trucks. These boars, once they've gotten the cokey going, they're going to go mental.
Fucking paying for coke with fake truffles.
My baby's in the car. There's about 2 million boar roaming Italy, according to the president of the Farming Association. Is there enough coke to fuel all these boars? That's the question.
I don't know. I've watched videos of, because there's like a boar problem in Texas or something.
Okay.
And
there was is a boar a wild pig?
Yeah, like Pumbaa. And like
who's the crazy metal guy in Texas who flies around in a helicopter shooting pigs?
Oh yeah, that's what I was watching. Yeah.
What's his name? He's a famous musician.
Ted Nugent.
Ted Nugent.
Yeah, just like flying around in a helicopter, gunning down boars with a machine gun. It's just fucking mental.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where it's like, well, you don't have to take glee in it, but it does kind of have to be done.
Yeah. Well, same with all kind of hunting licenses and stuff like that.
I mean, don't be cruel. Take them out as quickly as possible.
And what's faster than a helicopter?
And a machine gun. And Ted Nugent.
What's more fast than Ted Nugent?
Yeah.
Nothing. So yeah, and maybe they'll start resorting to that in Rome. In other news, hang on, I just want to double check where I am.
This is a boar. This is a boar on coke.
It's taking over Rome.
This is Ted Nugent.
The antithesis of a boar fucked up on coke. I just like the phrasing of this headline. I don't know how interesting this is. Doctors have warned of the danger of feather duvet lung. This is people's lungs getting irritated by
fragile
feathers.
do you have to be where you can be slowly killed by a duvet?
Well, I'm in that camp. But I don't have that, so I don't have feather duvets. You get allergies and all that shit.
Well, most people don't now. They have, it's like hollow fibre stuff.
This was the big thing I was going to I'd never found a feather duvet comfortable.
No.
Because you can feel
they
spikes.
just end up sticking in you.
Yeah, you just feel these stabby sticks in them.
He's got feather lung.
Well, it brings up kind of a valid point where you go to the doctors and they'll ask you about certain allergies, but they won't think to ask about feathers. It's basically what they're saying. So if you went in and you were having an allergic reaction, they'd ask if you've got any pets, if there's any animals in the area, if you've got anything in the garden, like certain type of things like that. But they wouldn't think of, oh, what duvet have you got? Or and they think this is the point they're trying to make is basically
Is your duvet made of boars?
yeah. Well, like cleaning products, people are allergic to everything. Right? There's going to be something they're going to be allergic
It can
to.
be anything. Yeah.
Could be a diet. I think diet thing's the other big thing that they do. But say like, what kind of couch do you have? You know, all these things can have some kind of irritant on you. But to call it feather duvet lung, it just feels. I mean, people died.
I've heard of like popcorn lung, but I've never heard of.
Yeah.
Is it to do with like being allergic to the feathers, or is it like dust and fibres that come from the feathers that you breathe in?
I believe that's the thing.
Like asbestos, like that kind of thing.
I think it's specifically the dust on the feathers.
Right.
Yeah, the dust from the feathers in the bedding.
Right.
Causing lung inflammation. Symptoms include night sweats. It's always a weird thing to try and diagnose yourself with. I might just be sweating. A dry cough, a shortness of breath, repeated exposure can cause irreversible scarring of the lungs. So I guess that's similar if you have a constant cough.
Yeah.
Eventually that cough will scar you.
Yeah.
So get it checked out, says the guy with an eye patch when he shouldn't be wearing one. When they were talking about a victim, they said that his tests showed the man had unusually high antibodies towards particular proteins from birds, including pigeons and parrots. They also showed a pattern in his lungs that hinted at hypersensitivity pneumonitis, while his lung infection was significantly impaired. So they took blood tests of him, and they were like, looks like this is being caused by birds. Your blood test came back. What is it? Birds.